Hi guys. I'm trying, my legs look really long. So because I've been wanting to get better at doing interviews, this is a really good try for me to do this with other people. You are so cute. I am such a huge fan. So number one, thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
I think you're such a great inspiration for so many young people, and I think the positivity that you spread on your social media is so incredible.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So I wanted to kind of ask you some questions first,
Okay.
and then maybe we open it up into a Q&A because I got a lot of replies from people who had questions.
Okay.
So my first question is, if anyone is tuning into this live and doesn't know who you are, even though I assume everyone does, explain who you are, how you got started in entertainment, and what you love most about it.
Oh gosh. I'm Kelly Rutherford, and I'm an actress, and I played the mom on Gossip Girl and other shows before that, but I think most of your audience, that's what they'll know.
Yes.
And gosh, what else? Well, Dynasty recently, a few other things. But anyway, and I've been doing it since I graduated from high school when I was 17, and I moved to New York to study acting. And then I was there for about 2 years, and I was homesick, so I moved back to LA, where I grew up in Newport Beach and in LA. And I started working. So I was, all my friends were going out and having fun and in college, and I was doing a soap opera and memorizing 50 pages a night. I was kind of studying in a different way, So I did that, and I just always knew I wanted to do something that was infinitely creative, that I would always learn, you could always get better, always, and it was a way of sharing, because I loved watching people when I was growing up. I was saying in high school, I never quite fit into any certain group or clique. So I always kind of was a little on the outside, but yet knew everyone. Do you know what I mean? I knew everyone from the certain little cliques at school, but I always felt like I didn't really fit into one particular one. So maybe that's part of why acting made sense, is I could sort of see from the outside how different dynamics worked. And I found it fascinating. And I moved around a lot growing up. So that probably, played into that a lot, is just being a little bit of the new person and all of that. So, and I remember it so well. I think that's why I relate to young people so much, is I remember so many of those feelings growing up. And I have so much compassion for all of us during that time.
You also have kids.
It's
so
not easy.
No.
Well, my kids are they're getting big now, but Helena is 10 and Irma's is 13. So yeah, so they're going through all of that, but they're so cool now. I don't know. They're so much more together. They're more together than I am now. They're so savvy.
Well, do you think that social media plays a role in that? Because you've had such an experienced career in acting, but, even when Gossip Girl was around, and I've rewatched the show maybe 300,000 times, when it was around, I'm 22 now, but I think I was maybe 12 or 13. Cell phones weren't even existing. So how, as a parent, especially one that's so known and in the public eye, how have you kind of navigated with your children and talking to them about social media?
Well, I think social media is like anything, right? It's like money, it's like people, it's like energy, it's like everything in the world. Things can be used in a good way and they can be used in a negative way. Anything and everything can. You look at drugs can be used in a good way and a bad way. You look at, power can be used in a good and a bad way. And all day long, we're choosing those things all day long. How we treat people can be good and bad, how we treat ourselves, whether we choose to treat ourselves with kindness when we feel emotional or we feel awkward or sad or any of all those emotions, how we treat ourselves. We can be hard on ourselves, or we can be compassionate and kind to ourselves. And a lot of that has to do with what we're taught. Obviously, we have our parents, we have society, and so we sort of learned from them, but we also have a choice ourselves to decide how. So I think social media, your question about social media, can be used any way you want it to be used.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
it's
love
up
that.
to you to choose, you know.
Sure.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm drinking a smoothie.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, no, and I think that's why there's so many actors and actresses and, you know, people in the public eye who don't necessarily post content that young people should be seeing. And I think that you do a really great job of that, of posting your personal life, but also posting, you know, motivational quotes and just fun pictures. And that's really cool. So last week I did a live with another actress who's a friend of mine. She's on the Disney Channel, so way younger than you.
Cool.
But, you know, we got a lot of questions of how people should break into entertainment or become an actress. And I'm curious, because she is so young, and you have a little bit more experience than she does. How would you kind of advise that, or tell someone who nowadays really wants to get into entertainment or acting, what should be the first step and what should they know?
It's a good question. I didn't really know anything when I was getting into it. So, you know, I didn't really know anyone in it. You know, my mom had modeled. So when I moved to New York, she, you know, introduced me to a modeling agency, so I was able to kind of model and make extra money while I was, and do commercials and stuff while I was, but I had no idea. And so, you know, obviously I think you do a photo, you know, you want to headshot a photo, and you want to, you know, go to probably the top, you know, agencies, but, you know, obviously the top agencies, you know, are taking people that already are established mostly.
Yeah.
So you kind of just go down the line and think, okay, where are some of the mid-range agencies that might be interested, you know? And a lot of it is just, I think with anything creative, with any job, is just, if you love it, you'll figure it out. You know, like, look at you.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're such a perfect example, because you just reached out to my agent and just kept reaching out, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you know, check this girl, why not, you know?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just having the courage to say, why not? The worst thing they can say is no. And
Yeah.
I'm big deal, you know? And the sooner you realize that that's not the worst thing, the better. You know, who cares? It's not meant for you. You move on. So I think agents or managers, you know, that can represent you. I think you can even now submit yourself, you know, if you Google. But the industry's changed so much since I started. I mean, I've been doing this for like 30 something years. So it's changed a lot. I'm probably not the person to ask now, because again, it's changed so much. I think your friend from Disney would probably know more about what.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, just
But
to
in
be
a different
honest,
way.
more connected to how things work now in terms of getting an agent versus when I was, you know, 17, 18 years old. But with most things, I think, you know, you want to write about what you want, what you love to do. And, you know, manifestation is such an interesting thing, because it sometimes will align you with exactly, you know, the more you visualize what you want and get quiet and write about what you want, the better. So sometimes that helps align you with the people that you need to align with or connect to. And it's not always the mainstream way. It's not always going directly through an agent or manager. It's talking to people that are in the industry, writing letters, reaching out to people, connecting with people through social media that might be able to, you know, to do things. Maybe not always the traditional way, even writing a script and submitting a script that you've written, or, you know, doing a local play, or doing a local thing that leads to, you know, that goes on tour and takes you, you know, around the world, and you meet people. There's so many different avenues in which to do that. But I definitely think your Disney friend would know more than I do today.
Well, but also in a different way. You know, how I kind of compare it is, I think, like, you know, you are such a seasoned actress and people look up to you in so many different ways. And I think that they would envy your path to success compared to someone who perhaps got viral on YouTube or TikTok, and then they are a big hit, and then the next day it's nothing. And that's because it's such a different way of getting successful. They didn't necessarily have to put in the hours of work that I think you have to put in to become a seasoned actress. in that capacity. So my last question, or I have two more before we'll open it up, but my first one would be in terms of rejection, how do you, or how have you in entertainment, but especially when you were younger, since you started at a young age, how did you deal with the rejection? And even your kids, you know, who are probably in school now, or when this all ends, will go back to school, in terms of schoolwork or friends or bullying, that's also a form of rejection.
Well, I think people that bully are probably bullied. And so we have to look at them with compassion too. I mean, obviously, if someone's harming someone, that you need to take to another level. But bullying is usually because people feel insecure when they bully. And they usually, you know, bully people that they feel, oh, you know, I never fit in the way everyone fits in. So, you know, it's like anyone that harms someone else in any way is harmed themselves. They
Yes.
are suffering themselves. So, you know, you need to find your people. You need to find your people that you love, even if it's one, even if it's two, you know, and the people that see the bullying around should stand up and say, you know, we think you're great, but we don't believe in bullying. You can believe whatever you want about someone. You can think whatever you want about someone. That's your freedom. But we, you know, as a group here don't feel as comfortable. And it's people standing up for people. So if you see a girl bullying another girl or a boy bullying another boy, you know, say, you know, as a group, stand up and say, look, I don't feel that this is appropriate anymore. The dog
I need a dog.
Against bullying. They're like, we do not.
Oh my God, I love it.
Nope, not going for that.
Not into it.
So anyone, you know, I always, you know, I feel like it takes a lot of personal power to stand in that and say, you know what, it's not my thing. And for kids to not just kind of join along, because that's how it happens. They all kind of join along. And so if you kind of, as you know, say, you know, this isn't my thing, because you know it comes back to you energetically.
Sure. And I mean, that was a huge theme also in a show that, you know, really revolutionized high school, which was Gossip Girl. And bullying was quite prominent through many episodes of that show. Yeah. Well, it just doesn't, it's not good for anyone. The person that's even bullying, it's like I always say, bless everyone. You know, judging someone only hurts you. You have a negative feeling through your body when you judge, when you bully, okay? And if you feel like you need to bully someone, or you look to, where have I been bullied in my life? And where do I need to heal or stand up for myself or say enough? Because it's a time to get in touch with our emotions, you know, just like we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, we can feel. Feelings are given to us for a reason. And they're to align us with what we feel. We have choices every day to feel good or to not feel good. And it's just as much energy to feel both, right? Yeah. And our parents don't know everything. Our parents may have suffered. They may have been treated poorly. And so now they're treating their children. You know, they're going from what they know. Yeah. So it's important to be your own guide. That doesn't mean don't respect your parents. You're not respectful. You know, my mother always said, you know, I want to hear your voice. I want you to have a very strong voice, but please do it respectfully. And I think there's a way that we can do that, you know, and listen to ourselves. And do you think that also? Go ahead. No, you keep going. You go. Oh, no, I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, do you think that also goes into the side of rejection too? At least you have a dog to bark at you, considering I have no dog. There's so much technical. Just stop. Just stop. Gosh, so cute. Hey, you know what? No. I hope everyone gets a dog after this. They're fine. They're just like, it's like somebody's walking down the hallway and this is what goes on. Are you in New York or LA now? No, I'm in LA. I live in New York, but I happened to come out to LA and my family's here, so I ended up staying, but anyway, because of everything going on. Sure, of course. This is like a temporary place, but I
unpacked my storage, so everything's here. So anyway, so tell me, what was your question? Sorry, now that everything's calmed down.
Sure. In terms of, you know, the concept of bullying, and then that going into rejection as well, in terms of how to overcome rejection, not even necessarily, in entertainment, but as an actress, rejection is something that so many people in entertainment struggle with, but it can also go into just, you know, more traditional forms of work. So how have you overcome rejection, and how would you advise other people to? And then we will open it up to questions.
Okay. Well, rejection's not always about you. I mean, it's not always about us. So that's what we have to realize. Like even auditioning, let's say, I know it's not always about me, because they may be going in a completely different direction. You know, we don't always know the bigger picture of rejection, right? Sure. Or even when we're dating or there's somebody we like, we don't know what the bigger picture is of their own insecurity or what they're feeling or why. So the thing is to take some of it off ourselves, rejection, because it's not always about us, and to trust our path. So the big thing is to trust, right? Is to say, you know what, if this isn't for me, it's not for me. Do I want something that's not for me? Do I want to be with a guy that's not 100% in and adoring and loving, or a girl that pays attention to me, that loves me, that cares about me? You know, age appropriately, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
And the same with work, you know, I want to be somewhere where I'm celebrated and appreciated, and my gifts are, you know, so it's kind of like reframing it for yourself and pivoting it and saying, this isn't about them. And also it's showing up fully authentically ourselves. So yeah, the more we show up fully ourselves, regardless of what we think our imperfections are, or what we think right? Because what we may think of as our imperfections, somebody may find really attractive. Sure. So let's stop judging ourselves, right? And so if you show up authentically, you will find the right place to be, the right person to be. When we stop trying to be everything to everyone, and I'm guilty of this, we're all a little guilty of this, you know, trying to fit into everyone's idea of what we should be. You know, I'm much older than you, and I still have to check in with myself about those things. So it's normal. It's totally normal to you know, so the more we can go in and really feel into what we really love, that feeling of love, loving ourselves, loving others, getting the noise that goes on, just quieting it down a little bit, not putting so much pressure on ourselves. I think so many people put so much pressure on themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, just be you, you know, and do the things that you love to do with the best of your ability, and you will align with the right things. It's when we're resisting just being ourselves or trying to be something else that it's hard. We disconnect from ourselves. So how do we know what the truth is?
I love that.
It's very powerful to be in your truth, and it will guide you and align you with everything. When you're coming from love, when you're coming from compassion, mostly for yourself, it starts there, then everything builds from there, and you'll find that you'll manifest things better. You won't even have to sort of struggle so much, because the struggle comes from the resistance to what is, and to allowing your good in, because you're so trying to make it happen or be this for someone. It creates a lot of static for the universe to be able to get through and bring you what you need.
Sure. I wonder if you were a motivational speaker in your past life. I feel like you could have been.
I just know what I felt my whole life growing up, and I have a real, I don't know, I feel young at heart, and I know how challenging these things can be. And I remember feeling all these things, and I still, even though I've read the books and lived life and, you know, experienced the extremes of all these things, I just find that it is the one thing that does make sense. Do you know what I mean? And we all know it. When we get quiet, I mean, I'm getting even teary, because when we get quiet and go within and just really allow ourselves to be and love ourselves, regardless of our parents, regardless of society, regardless of our girlfriends or our guy friends telling us we have to live up to and be certain things. You know, let's stop all trying to fit in. Let's make that the next thing. Let's stop trying to fit in. Let's be eccentric. Let's be unique. Let's be ourselves. Let's look to people and say, I think it's so cool that you're wearing that and we're all wearing this. What does she wear? That's so cool. That, you know, let's honor each other's differences instead of all trying to be the same.
Sure.
You know, because being the same and all wanting is just kind of a safety thing, safety in numbers, safety in a group. And that's okay, you know, but at the same time, we are safe as an individual. And individuals, it's a time of the individual, of being the only thinker in our mind, of honoring ourselves, of being, I'm okay regardless of what all of you say about me. You know, I'm okay, and it is safe to be me. And that's sort of the new, bullying comes from fear.
Sure, 100%. And I love that you said that, especially now, because when people are stuck kind of with their thoughts and all these young people can't run around and do all these things and quote unquote hustle all the time. And I feel like that's when you have to become so much more grounded. I got asked the other day, either it was how to become authentic or how to tell someone is authentic. And I thought it was an interesting question, because you shouldn't have to find authenticity or seek it out. But on social media, it can be quite hard. But I thought you were such a good representation of someone who is truly yourself, you know, on screen and off screen. But I will shut up now because people have so many questions. So let's see. We'll go into some of these and maybe ask her about 4. So if you guys have more, put them in whatever this Q&A thing is. Okay. How did you overcome the struggle when you first started acting?
Well, what is struggle?
I know, I'm not sure.
I think I get, but the question is to ask ourselves, what is struggle and why is there a struggle? Right? So how do we say, I'm going to do this because it's fun, and I know I'm doing something, like I go to an audition and I think, oh, I'm so nervous, and I'm, you know, all of that. And I would go and I'd just say, you know what? If you go and you show up and just do the best you can, nervous, knees, you know, jaw, you know, shaking and nervous and everything. If you just go in, if you're yourself, you're present, and you can just even read off the page, just say the words, you can I would treat myself to something. I'd say, you know what? You were brave today. You know, you did something brave, you did it, you showed up. Or I would reach out to someone in the industry or write a letter or show up for myself in that way. So reward yourself, you know, when you do something brave. You know, give yourself a treat, or say, oh, after this, I'm going to go home, I'm going to take a bath, I'm going to buy myself some flowers and do something fun. So a lot of it is rewarding ourselves, you know. So instead of seeing it as a struggle, you know, it's relative. We've been told that's a struggle, but if you do it for the fun of it, even if you're nervous, you know, it's easier. It kind of gets rid of the struggle part of it a little bit.
And you also become more confident in being rejected, I think, which is kind of cool. And I know that I'm trying to ask you like a few questions that are even about acting and not. I know that Gossip Girl has been renewed. So I don't know, are you involved in that? I don't even know. That was
No, I think what they're doing is they're doing a new young cast that discovers the archive of Gossip Girl. So that's sort of the premise of it. So I don't know. They may have some of us back here and there or something, but I haven't heard anything about them having us on. So
it's always hard, I feel like, when they bring back shows, because the second season, not even the second season, the next opportunity, everyone is so connected to the first. I don't know. I found that it's harder to watch shows that come back in that way.
I think if they do it like Star Wars, like I think if they were to bring some of us back and then sort of pass the baton and we could leave, you know, in other words, I think it helps if you sort of bring a few of the characters back.
Yes.
So that you have that connection again, even if those characters end up kind of leaving and going off and doing their thing. But like in Star Wars, the way they did it, they kind of passed the torch, which was cool.
That is very true. And I think also to kind of like see the evolution, but you guys have all preserved your youth. Whenever I've seen pictures, like when I'm your age, I'm going to look 125. But
no, you're not. There's too many technologies now. Are you kidding? There's so much more to do to keep you young now than ever.
I guess a little bit.
I wanted to say something about this, you know, how this authenticity thing. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, my mother used to always say when I was growing up, you'll know someone is truly powerful because when you're with them, you will feel powerful and not weak. So there are many, and it's the same with authenticity, and that is that when you're around someone that's authentic, you feel it. You go, oh my God, this person is so, you just know, right? So listening to those things in your body, how you feel when you're around certain people will tell you everything. So just listen, say, I feel better when I'm with this person. I feel more myself. I feel more empowered. That's how you know. Favorite actor. Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to put the thing on the screen because I think it either hides you or me or some of the questions. Okay. So that was great. I love that you said that. So who has been your favorite actor or actress that you have been on set or in a show with?
Gosh. Well, I loved working with Bruce Campbell on Briscoe County Jr. I loved working with Kyle on A Home Front. I love working with Ed Westwick on Gossip Girl. I love my scenes with Ed so much, and Matthew. Everyone, but you know, I had a lot of scenes with Ed that I thought the storyline with Ed was beautiful, and I loved that. What other shows? I mean, everyone on Dynasty is hysterical. Those scenes were really fun. I don't know, there's so many people. Cameron Matheson, I just did this Hallmark movie with Cameron Matheson. He's such a lovely human being. I'm really fun to work with. So many. I really enjoyed, truly, I've enjoyed everyone I worked with. You know, I think it was maybe more the storyline or who you got to work, you know, the storyline makes a difference, but I've really always had, thankfully, really good experiences with people. And
which is quite good because sometimes I hear terrible stories. I think everyone has some in entertainment, but sometimes there's like really quite terrible ones about, you know, being stuck with someone. I like this. How do you cope with loneliness?
Well, I've learned, you know, when I was younger, I would get lonely because I would think I needed outside things, right? And as I've gotten older, I've realized I'm so happy puttering around my home. I'm happy walking my dogs. I'm happy getting up and having a cup of coffee. And I'd much rather be on my own than around other people that take my energy away, right? So I really value my energy and how I feel. So now I'm less desirous of having to have other people just to occupy my time. And I always have fun projects to do. I'm always, you know, either making something or I don't know. I find that I have so much to do. And I don't need it all I don't need the socialness as much, you know. But that's, you know, maybe that's part of just being at this point in my life, you know. I think it's, but it is good to learn somehow or to value your time and your quiet and your space, and realize that it's very powerful. Those times can really, you know, it's like even now, right? We've all been so busy and now we're at home, right? So it's like, okay, you know, what comes up for you? I enjoy being on my own. So I don't know. It's hard for me to, I don't, so I really enjoy the time. So maybe it's just reframing it so that you realize that there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being on your own or quiet or taking the time for yourself. And it gives you time to hear the guidance within you. It gives you time to really understand what your home frequency is and what that, so that you can go back to it. It's a good way to use it and say, how do I reframe this for myself? I'm not lonely. I'm not alone in the world. I do, you know, I am, I just enjoy my time on my own so much. So it's
I'm the same way.
I don't feel lonely, but I get it, but I think it's a state of mind. We're told if we're not with a guy or with a girl or with people or whatever that's, and the truth is it's kind of like a Jedi, you know. It's good to know how to be on your own and be full. To be full on your own is a real Jedi training, and it gives you power. It gives you strength, because you learn who you are, and your ability to show up for others and be your own person is good.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I will ask you 2 more questions from what other people have asked you, and then wrap it up so I don't hold your whole day. But I would piggyback on top of that, and I would say that I think for me, because I'm constantly interviewing someone or talking to someone, that the time that I have alone is, and I love it, and I think you can probably relate that you're always on set with people, so you enjoy spending more time alone, because our jobs and careers are a little bit different. It's not like we're going into an office in a cubicle and sitting there not talking to anyone. So I think you should never feel lonely, because you're never going to be happy then when you're surrounded by people.
Well, it's valuing ourselves, you know, it's really valuing ourselves so much, you know. It's such a beautiful thing to get to know yourself and value you. Yeah.
100%. Okay. I liked this one.
Okay. Yes, I've enjoyed cooking, by the way. So.
How can we stand out and compete with all the nepotism in the industry?
By not thinking about it, by not acknowledging it. If there's anything like that, you have the power to pick and choose how you see things in this world. You know, there's a lot of things that we've been told about loneliness, nepotism, toxic this, that, you know, people are this way or they're that way. And the truth is, if we don't, it's not a part of my world, so it doesn't matter to me. Doesn't keep me from being able to manifest everything I can manifest. There's less nepotism than there is more nepotism. So yeah, there may be people helping each other, right? In each other's families, and they should. I mean, you would help your kids, you know, I'm sure you'd help your sister or your brother if you could in any business, right? So whether you're a lawyer and your son comes and works at your firm, or your daughter comes in, becomes a partner at your firm, or at any business, right? It's normal to want to help the people in your family, and that's beautiful. But it doesn't change my ability or hinder my ability to manifest for myself. We manifest as individuals, and that goes into deciding what you want, creating your intention, and not going against what you want. In other words, so much of what happens is we get in the way because of doubt. We get in the way because society says no. And if that doesn't exist for you, and your intention is pure, and your manifestation, you're manifesting based on your belief system, not about whether it doesn't matter what somebody over there is doing. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. The only thing that matters is what you're doing, and what thoughts you're thinking, and the feelings that are going through your body. That's the only thing that matters. That's what, you know, the Star Wars, that's what the Force is about. May the Force be with you. And, you know what I'm saying? And that is what it is. I always say Star Wars because I love the Force. There was a book written that it was based upon by this guy Stuart Wilde called The Force. It was all about our own creativity and our own intending. And it's very important in all aspects of your life to just say, great, who cares? God bless them. You know, I'm linked up with the same source that created all that's here, this infinite creative source that created all that we see. Call it, name it, whatever you want to name it. It's pretty intelligent if you look around at nature and how in harmony the earth is, and everything was given to us. Everything has been given to us. So if you connect up with that and you get quiet, anything is possible. And society, the confusion, the news, all this is to distract us from our own connection to that source and that infinite intelligence. And when you get quiet and you're guided, because you will hear things, you know, and know things, and to trust your knowing, to trust your own inner knowing, you know, and that means you're not maybe 10 steps ahead. Sometimes that's really being in the moment and really listening and saying, how do I feel with this person? How do I feel about that? And be guided by your own intuition more and more. But it takes sometimes getting quiet and sometimes feeling a little lonely, or if you call it lonely, or just feeling, or just get quiet and say, what is this loneliness? And listen, what is it going to say to you? You know, what is this sadness or this loneliness or this, sometimes we get like frustrated or whatever. And if you get quiet and sit and close your eyes, make yourself a little ritual, a little area in your room where you can just light a candle and get quiet and say, what is this feeling? And why am I feeling it? And sometimes I have a notebook and I'll just write it. I'll just listen to what happens and I'll just say, just write what this is. What is this loneliness? Why do I feel lonely? And if you need to cry, you need to laugh, you need to whatever, you know, write it out and it'll tell you something, because it's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
All of these feelings.
And those are all such normal feelings to have.
We wouldn't have them if they weren't normal, and we all have them. So, yeah.
I think this is, I saw two more that I'll ask that I really liked that people wrote in. And I thought this one was great. And I would love to know, because this is so relatable for so many young men and women. So what's your answer to this one?
My boyfriend hasn't said that he loves me yet. And it makes me so insecure. What should I do? Well, you should take a deep breath. And you can love yourself more. And because all the love that is comes from within us, he's just a reflection of you. Everyone that we meet is just a reflection of us. Mm-hmm. So I love regardless of whether people love me back. I just love, right? I love you, who I'm talking to, Alexa. I love you regardless. I love you regardless. You're perfect. Yeah.
Thanks.
As you are. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I love you whether you tell me you love me, whether you show up for me in certain ways that I think you should, whether you do. I love you anyway, mm-hmm. right? Because my love comes from within me. That's awesome. And I think with love, romantic love, look, if somebody's not showing up for you in the ways that you want them to, either you have to say, okay, maybe this is not the person for me, without judgment. You can say, look, I love you, but there's certain things that, you know, that I really like in a relationship. And a lot of it is, I write about what I want in a relationship between man and woman, right? Or woman and woman, or man and man, whatever. I write what it is, the things that I love. You know, and in people, I think to tell people the things that you love about them is really important, you know. And if you say to him, look, I know you haven't said you love me, but I know that I love you, whatever. I mean, the point is, we can't wait around for anyone to be anything for us, or we will constantly be disappointed, because people aren't always, even people that are well-intended don't always show up for us in every way we want. Our parents don't always show up for us in the way we want them to. Our boyfriends don't always show up for us in the way we want them to. Our teachers, the government, I mean, on and on. If you're waiting for somebody to show up to make you happy or to say the things you want to hear,
I think
you're going to be at the whim of a lot of different things in this world, a lot, all day long. Everyone's moods. Look, you could be at the cash register and somebody could give you an attitude, and it's like, it has nothing to do with you, so I'm not going to be at the whims of what every single person is going through. And the more you can just step back and say, is this person for me? I don't, listen. And if they're not for you, then just say, I love this person, but they're not for me, and or accept them for who they are, and go love yourself more, because usually it has to do with us. It has to do with, am I loving myself enough?
Mm-hmm. I think that's so true.
The more we love ourselves, the more people will show up to match that love.
Yeah.
And our experiences will be matched to our own vibration of the what we're carrying around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone said something. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I would completely 100%.
Because I was boy crazy when I was growing up, so it's hard. You know, I was like, oh, he's so cute. Oh my God.
It's hard not to be.
And someone's giving you attention and you're like, oh my God, he's so cute and he's giving me attention, or she's so gorgeous and she's blah, 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 or whatever. So I get it. I mean, romantic love is so beautiful, you know, but the thing is, it can be the most beautiful. And when it's in the most harmony is when you are balanced yourself. So the thing is, and what you'll notice is the more you do things for yourself and love yourself, the more that you don't even have to say anything to him or her. They'll just feel it. They'll see it, and they'll start showing up differently. It's not about me saying to him, well, you didn't tell me you love me, or you need to be this, this, and this for me. It's saying, oh, all those things that I want that person to be, how am I being that way for me? Because I know when I'm that way for me, my whole thing shifts in how people show up for me because they feel it. We're energetic people. So much of what we feel isn't what people are saying. It's how they're being.
That's so true. I love everything. Anyone, any girl, guy, whatever, who heard her say that 100%. And the only thing that I would say, I don't know how old the girl who asked that question is, but the only thing that I would say before I ask you your last question is something my mom always said is lower your expectations. And growing up, I was always like, that's so terrible. I never want to lower my expectations. And then I was in the longest relationship I've ever been in, and I kept pushing him to do things that he wasn't ready to do. And I look back and I wished I had found more kind of peace within myself to accept him more instead of, and had lowered my expectations a bit for these silly things instead of been so angry. But I think what I was really angry was obviously myself, not as much him. So,
well, if you don't have any expectations, in other words, put it this way, if you have no expectations of someone,
yeah,
and you acknowledge everything that they do in the ways that they do show up for you. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Even if you have no expectations, so that when they do show up and you appreciate them, that's a better place to start, to say, oh my gosh, I really appreciate that you opened the door just now, or that you called me. I love that you just called me. That's so sweet. I love talking to you.
Yeah.
And without it having to be locked down, defined, love is not meant to be defined in those ways. So love and relationships are an ever-growing, ever-changing thing. Yeah. They don't, and people are. So more importantly, have no expectations and appreciate people and how they show up for you in that moment.
Yeah.
Then it's pretty tough to be disappointed.
Yes.
Right? And so if you just appreciate them now and say, wow, I love that you called me. I love that you just texted me. Instead of, why isn't he texting me? Why isn't he calling me? Why isn't she doing? Instead, when they do, because they clearly wanted to in that moment, say, oh, it makes me so happy when you text me. I mean, how often do we say things like that?
Yeah.
I get so excited when you text me. I get so excited when you call me. And when if you only start noticing all the good things that they're doing, and accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. There was that great song from my grandparents' era. You know, you got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to things that are good. You'll notice people, that's what we all want. That's what children want from their parents. That's what we want from our loves, our romantic loves. It's what we want from the earth. We want acknowledgement of what we're doing good, not how somebody's not. It doesn't serve you. It disempowers you to notice all the bad.
Yeah. So
and
true.
What people are not doing.
Yeah. Okay, my last question.
We can talk for hours.
I know. I actually want to interview you on my podcast because you have so much fabulous insight. But on a lighter note, because you answered that question so fabulously, what have you enjoyed cooking at home? This will be our last.
Well, one of the things I love about what's happening right now is that we're not taking stuff out to go so much. So we're not wasting all that plastic. If you think about how much stuff we all take to go, we take something to go that we're going to eat in 2 minutes. That's a piece of plastic, and we throw it in the trash, just to get it from the restaurant to where we're going, right? So what I've loved is going to the market and not having all this plastic stuff and go stuff. It's really changed my view on all of that. It's really been an upgrade in how I want to go forward. And so I've been cooking mostly vegetarian. And so like this morning I went and got this out because when I walk the dogs. Yeah. It's pineapple, almond butter, coconut milk, and bananas. It's all organic. Pineapple's super good for your skin. Almond butter is obviously protein, and banana's good for your hearts. I made, what have I been making? I've been making rice and beans and avocado and spinach and a healing broth. I made this healing broth that's amazing that has thyme, ginger, onion, garlic, sweet potatoes, which makes it really sweet, celery, and then I let it boil. And it's all organic. I do my best to get all organic, non-GMO. And then I put in like a little, buy like curry powder or turmeric. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I put a few things of that in. And then once it's done, you can either kind of scoop out all the vegetables and put them on rice. I like basmati rice, so you can put it on the rice and then drink the broth separate throughout the day, heat it up and drink it. Because I know where I am, it's been raining a little. So it's a real soothing. It's really good for your immune system. If you don't want to take a ton of vitamins, I don't love taking a ton of vitamins. So for me, it's my way of getting all of that immunity stuff in. And then what else? Yeah, I love Mexican food because I'm in LA. So I've been eating a lot of Mexican food and I just make veggies. I make oatmeal with yummy fruit on top or nuts. I love almond butter. I get like this lavash bread. I think I'm pronouncing it right. And I put hummus on there, and then I do like celery, carrots, tomatoes, and just nibble on that. I'm a snacker, so I just kind of snack all day on stuff.
Which they actually say keeps your metabolism going.
It does. If you have blood sugar stuff, it's really good for your blood sugar too. And I like the medical medium. I like what he on Instagram, there's a guy named Medical Medium or he's Medical Medium. And his protocol is pretty amazing. Even if you do eat meat or you eat protein, whatever, you can incorporate it. And that's what I did is that, I just started doing it more and more, and now I do it kind of mostly. I don't always do the celery juice, but he recommends celery juice.
That's what I was going to say. I'm coming over for dinner after for your soup, but I have celery juice every morning. It's gotten a lot better. It's still the worst thing I've ever drank in terms of juicing, but I become more immune to it. But anyway, Kelly, you are such a blessing. Any last words? And if anyone has any insane additional questions, feel free to DM me and I will do the best I can to reply. But I hope everyone who watched this took everything that you said to heart because it was incredible. But yeah, any last words or advice or?
Well, we're all the sum of our choices all day. We think they don't matter. We think that we don't have an impact, and we do. In every single choice that we make, we have an impact, whether we, stop eating a lot less sugar because that makes you depressed. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I would eat a lot of sugar and I would have this down thing, and then I'd want something to make me feel better. And I had these really blood sugar things because I would eat sugar or caffeine or sugar drinks all day or whatever until I kind of went, this is not working for me because it's making me depressed. It's making me lethargic, fat, all these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's, I knew for me, it just made me feel bloated and not good. Right. So my weight would go up and down. I would feel really not good. And so a lot of what it is too that we can control is our nutrition, right? To the best of our ability to even just start there and say, I'm going to eat, things that are healthy for me that make me feel good. It is important. I don't want to be a mom about this, but it's true.
No, it's so true. And there's so many grocery stores, even like Trader Joe's, and almond butter, someone would think, oh, it's so expensive. She says that, but you can find almond butter at places like Trader Joe's that isn't that expensive to eat healthy.
What's expensive is the you either pay now or you pay later.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if you eat well and you're more productive, and you eat well and you're not depressed, and you eat well and you're more efficient in your life and you feel better, that there's a cost to these things, right? So if you want, and I understand, I'm not, believe me, I understand. There was a point in my life where I couldn't even afford a cup of coffee. So I understand money. I'm not saying that it's not an issue. Do you know what I mean? Believe me, I'm not removed from the day-to-day of finances. I'm just saying, if you can, within your ability, you know, to choose for yourself, whether you find a really great little organic market that may not be a huge market, that it's affordable, you know, or at least incorporate it. That doesn't mean that everything you have to do. I mean, when I go eat out at a restaurant, I'm not always, it doesn't have to be perfectly organic or whatever, just to the best of your ability to have non-toxic products in your home that you're cleaning with, or foods that you're eating. You know what I'm saying? It's even like what we're watching on TV. Just make sure that, know that it does have an impact on you and your well-being. And if you can, just every day, you just do the best we can. I'm not, believe me, I'm far from, we all are every day getting better. And you know, we're just doing the best we can. And that's all anyone's expected to do, really.
Yeah. And I love that you say that so authentically and transparently too. So thank you for all of this.
Thank you.
Someone
Thank you so much.
Create an audiobook. I would listen to your, like, any audiobook that you put out. If you ever do that, that would be incredible. But no, seriously, you are a true inspiration, and I am so honored that you took the time. So thank you so much.
I'm so honored that you asked me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you more.